Hello, I'm Kurt Waldrop, and welcome to the special pre-election edition of Radical Freedom. Today I'm going to do a little compare and contrast between Texas Senator Ted Cruz and Democrat Robert Beto O'Rourke. Robert O'Rourke, an American of Irish ancestry, likes to go by the name of Beto to make him sound more Hispanic. Beto, or Beto as I'm going to call him, is always shown in the media as being a new John F. Kennedy. He frequently is compared to the Kennedys in looks, and they love describing how he was once in a punk rock band. Most of what's written about him seems to focus on his appearance, the punk rock band, and how he might even take down Ted Cruz. But his actual political past and his stand on the issues is usually overlooked. According to court documents, O'Rourke had been arrested in 1995 for breaking and entering, as well as attempted burglary. And he described this in an interview with the Washington Post as a prank gone awry. Okay, I'll grant that kids do some stupid things, but he was 23 when it happened. That's an age that most would agree you're an adult. 3 years later, he was arrested again for driving under the influence. And by the way, he was 26 at this time, and he pled guilty to that as well. Now, as a contrast, at the time that O'Rourke was being arrested for DUI, Ted Cruz was working as a law clerk for several different judges, including Supreme Court Justice William Rehnquist. Cruz has 0 arrests on his record. Now, I don't like to drag the actions of someone's family into politics. Let's face it, a candidate can't help what his family's done. But it's another interesting contrast. So let's take a look here real quick. During the communist Cuban Revolution, Cruz's dad was imprisoned for his anti-Marxist views and later escaped to the United States, where he raised his son to appreciate American capitalism and American freedom. Beto seems to be pretty pro-socialist. His mother, Melissa, once ran a store called Charlotte's Inc. So you'd think he would understand the value of capitalism. The store had been in the families for 3 generations, but had to close when Mrs. O'Rourke was targeted by the IRS. You see, in 2010, Charlotte's Inc. was raided by government and IRS agents, and financial records were seized as part of a search warrant. Early allegations accused the business of a money laundering operation. Now, in May of that same year, his mom pled guilty to federal structuring violations and was ordered to pay $250,000. And the company was put on 5 years probation. This is all according to an article broadcast by Channel 7 KVIA in El Paso. The article also referenced the following details from court documents and proceedings. Charlotte's Inc., represented by its owner Melissa O'Rourke, pled guilty Tuesday morning to 1 count, charging the company with structuring transactions involving more than $630,000 in order to evade financial reporting requirements. O'Rourke admitted that on 15 different occasions from May 2005 to October 2006, one or more of the company's employees separated cash transactions from merchandise, with each transaction ranging from $22,000 to $50,000. Each transaction was then separated into multiple receipts. No receipt amount was more than $10,000, so the IRS reporting requirements could be avoided. Where the unreported money went, by the way, was never mentioned, and the business finally closed for good in 2017. Again, I wouldn't normally bring parents into a discussion like this, but there seems to be a pattern in the O'Rourke family. Beto's father-in-law, William Sanders, is one of the main architects for the Paso del Norte Group, a private organization that is mainly based in El Paso, but also covers southern New Mexico and the Ciudad Juarez region of Mexico. Most of the activities and discussions of this group, as well as its members, are kept secret and have been sealed from public view. With massive influence in the area, the group helps dictate restructuring plans in El Paso, as well as policy. The group has repeatedly denied allegations of conflict of interest. And of what? Well, glad you asked. In 2006, a citizen filed a complaint form against this group, Beto O'Rourke, who at that time was on the city council, and his family for potential conflicts of interest on redevelopment plans, as well as collusion between several parties involved and abuse of eminent domain. You get it? The city council decides to build something. They use eminent domain to take the building of whoever owns the land, tear down the building, give the contract to for the new building to the Paso del Norte group. People would be displaced from homes, and the plan would destroy many small businesses. The group makes a ton of cash. Beto's stepdad gets a raise, and Beto? Wonder if he may have gotten a little something extra out of the deal. No, Beto, that's no bueno. Well, we will return to this deal shortly. O'Rourke had initially agreed and supported the plan for redevelopment of the area, but even the Democrats of El Paso thought this was too much, so they organized a recall election. The recall eventually fizzled, but Beto apparently deciding to not be too obvious in future deals, and he abstained from the final vote due to conflict of interest. Beto's biological father, Pat Francis O'Rourke, was a county judge for El Paso and apparently had special privilege. The following is actually from a newspaper account of what happened in 1983. El Paso, Texas, Associated Press. A sheriff's captain suspended for 3 days says he told 2 deputies to destroy a white powdery substance found in a county judge's vehicle because he thought the substance was planted. Captain Willie Hill was suspended this week after an internal investigation verified that Hill told the deputies to get rid of the substance they found February 26 while installing a 2-way radio in the car of El Paso County Judge Pat O'Rourke. Sheriff Mike Davis ordered the suspension after the investigation last week. He said he became aware of the incident in July or August, but did not initiate an internal investigation until after newsmen began questioning him. Okay. The substance was flushed down a toilet in Boykin's home before a chemical analysis could be run, and Chief Sheriff's Detective Fred Bonilla, who investigated. Bonilla said a condom half full of an off-white colored powder with black specks that could have been cocaine or heroin allegedly was found in the glove compartment of O'Rourke's auto. I have no idea how it got there, O'Rourke said this week. Wasn't it nice that the cops were willing to just destroy the substance for him? I mean, he couldn't have been using cocaine or heroin. Let's face it, any regular person would have been arrested for this. But it seems that certain people in El Paso have a similar 2-tier justice system to the Clintons. The New York Times even referenced the case in a small blurb about political infighting in El Paso back in 1984, but that was an election year, so other than that, crickets. Shortly after the news began to reach newspaper outlets, the incident was quickly swept under the rug and O'Rourke was politically unscathed, but he did not run for re-election in 1987. All this goes to show that a family that has a history of wrongdoing but seemed to get off with little or no punishment. Sound familiar? Reminds me a lot of the Clintons, or, well, dare I say it, the Kennedys. They do say he is Kennedy-esque. Hope Beto doesn't drive any girls into a river and leave them to drown. That would also be Kennedy-esque. The family may even surpass the Clinton gang and the Kennedys, as they may have interactions with organized crime in the way of Mexican drug cartels. Okay, follow me carefully. While the case against Pat Francis O'Rourke was dismissed due to lack of evidence, since the white substance had already been flushed down the toilet, and there was no evidence that O'Rourke had ordered the destruction of the evidence, at the same time, the crime rate in El Paso had erupted to then all-time highs. Major drug cartels began to make their presence known in the El Paso region, as well as western and southern Texas, flooding the border region with illegal narcotics, such as heroin and cocaine. Under Judge O'Rourke's watch, the Juarez cartel exploded in the region, a black market hub for narcotics traders and buyers. He may not have been involved with the cartels, but he certainly wasn't effective against them. In 2001, Pat Francis O'Rourke died in a freak accident in which a pickup truck rammed him from behind while he was on his bicycle. It crushed him to death underneath the tires and then sped away. No suspect was ever found or apprehended. That almost sounds like a mob hit. Maybe. Investigations concluded no foul play despite his past incident back in 1983 and his abrupt retirement from law. Makes me wonder if he ticked someone off in some way. Did he not do something that he promised he would do? Another interesting coincidence here is the crimes of Melissa O'Rourke between May of 2005 and October of 2006. Totals from this operation, remember, also amounted to more than $630,000 in total, and the money was never traced to where it was sent. This also occurred around the same time that the redevelopment plan, which would have totaled nearly $800,000 over 2 years, and that was just for the research. Also recall that the membership list of the Del Norte group is private and not subject to reporting. I have to admit, is there solid evidence between Beto's family and the cartels? Nah, it's only circumstantial. But they are things that make me go, Just the allegations that have been proven should be enough to cause voters to veto Beto. The choices between the guy that is Solicitor General of Texas argued a total of 8 cases before the United States Supreme Court, included among his victories a case from 2008 in which he advocated for the preservation of the death penalty for a Mexican citizen convicted of raping and murdering 2 teenage girls. A guy that has fought for Second Amendment rights and against illegal immigration. His opponent, Beto, has said that he wants to abolish ICE. Remember, the purpose of ICE is primarily to fight drug smuggling and human trafficking, terrible things. And he also says he doesn't think Americans have the right to own certain kinds of legal rifles. Beto gets most of his donations from California and New York. In fact, here is an invitation for a fundraiser, New York City, and this is for Beto supporters at $500 to $10,000 a plate. Wow. Cruz gets most of his donations from, well, you guessed it, Texas. In November, Texans get to decide between the constitutionalist or the crook. Ted Cruz or Beto O'Rourke. I really hope the better man wins, and by that I obviously mean Ted Cruz. Thanks for watching. I hope you go below and hit that like button. And as soon as I'm off the screen, a button will also show up that, well, it'll look like that. And you click that and you'll subscribe to my channel. So you'll get my newest shows as soon as they come out of the oven. I also hope you go to Amazon.com and check out my book, Radical Freedom. Until next time, stay free, my friends. Bye.